Well, colleagues and friends, it is with the greatest pleasure that I welcome you to the 8th NUJ Claudia Jones Memorial Lecture with the theme, Who's Terrorizing Who? The Media and the War on Terror. The NUJ is grateful to Guardian Unlimited for their continued support since the establishment of the annual Memorial Lecture, which has become one of the highlights of Black History Month in London. Now, as journalists, and more importantly, as a journalists' union, we chose to honor the memory of Claudia Jones, founder and editor of one of Britain's first black newspapers, the West Indian Gazette. If that had only been her contribution to black history in Britain, it would have been a significant achievement on its own, not least because as a woman, she would have suffered a double oppression of being both a woman and being black. And that was in the days before equality was recognized, even if it is still not fully upheld today. But Claudia also helped to found the Notting Hill Carnival, which would become a permanent celebration of black pride and multicultural friendship. The legacy of Claudia must be kept alive to remind those who are unaware of the work she had done in making the world a better place for black people to live in. Her legacy, colleagues, was recognized by all the first 7 lecturers. Professor Harry Goulburn from South Bank University, Professor Manning Marable from Columbia University, Dr. Sivanandan of the Institute of Race Relations, Lord Herman Ousley, former CRE chair, Gary Young, award-winning Guardian columnist, Dr. Robert Beckford, reader in Black Theology and Popular Culture at Oxford Brookes University, and Dr. Dodu Dare, UN Special Rapporteur on Racism in 2002-2008, who have made powerful contributions on a wide range of momentous and relevant times. Today, as black communities in Britain are experiencing even more new attacks and witnessing an increase in the activity and legitimizing the racist far right in the UK, it is at the more important to remember and celebrate Claudia's legacy. Now, some political parties and media outlets continue to blame the surge of racism on the black victims' failure to integrate. They are still attempting to explain the alienation of Muslim youth by questioning multiculturalism and by fierce attacks to strip off its anti-racism roots. A number of political parties, and just as adamantly, some mainstream media outlets, newspapers, and broadcasting outlets have been trying to give political clout and legitimacy to openly racist and xenophobia ideas, which amounts to a democratization of racism. There are also now some black establishment figures who believe that institutional racism is old hat and who now conversely play the new institutional integration and cohesion tunes. When we began the annual series of lectures, our goal was, and still is, to raise the level of discourse and understanding of race and related issues in the context of Black History Month. And as journalists and members of the NUJ, we are all well aware of the responsibility to challenge and scrutinize, making sure that racism is exposed in the media. So this year, colleagues, I am pleased to welcome Liz Fekete, Executive Director of the Institute of Race Relations. She has written and lectured widely on race, migration, and security issues in Europe. She is the author of Suitable Enemy, Racism, Migration, and Islamophobia in Europe, and edits the European Race Bulletin, a digest on the rise of racism and fascism in Europe that is published by the Institute of Race Relations. Liz's reports and writings are incisive and are firmly in the mold of Claudia Jones. We thank you, colleagues, for finding time to share Liz's perspective on the concrete world of racism, immigration, violation of human rights, cultural diversity, the war of terror, and the role of the global media. Can I welcome Liz?
I mean, it's such an honour to be asked to give the Claudia Jones Memorial Lecture, to be asked to speak about a black woman who gave so much to the black community and to struggles against racism. So I'm very honoured and humbled by this invitation. I also want to thank Lionel, because one of the benefits of working for the Institute of Race Relations, which was set up over 50 years ago, and as such is the oldest anti-racist organisation in this country, one of the benefits is that there is a huge archive at the Institute, which has the West Indian Gazette, which actually has lots of information to do with Claudia. And you know, one thing they say about the Institute, I've been working there for over 20 years, and actually, you know, if you get a job there, it's great, but they never allow you to leave. And some of my fellow members of staff have actually been there for sort of over 40 years. So it's been really nice for me to be able to talk to them about Claudia and what Claudia's legacy means. And it seems to me, I mean, Lionel has outlined some of the great things that Claudia did. But it seems to me the legacy that Claudia left was all the more remarkable in that she was hounded, censored and persecuted for her political opinions for much of her short life. The system tried to destroy her, but she endured. And I think just to endure in those circumstances was an amazing achievement in itself. So I think tonight we should be clear. As an internationalist, Claudia believed in the unity of the working class. And as a member of the Communist Party, she was considered as subversive in her time. In many ways, she was the terrorist of yesteryear in the eyes of authority. Under McCarthyism, Claudia was tried as an alien and a subversive under the Alien Registration or Smith Act, and she was subsequently deported from the US to the UK under the McCarran-Walter Immigration and Nationality Act that allowed for the deportation of immigrants or naturalised citizens engaged in subversive activities. So let's be clear, all the things that Claudia was up against are coming back into the law today. They are coming back into the European popular culture. And I'm going to talk to you today as a European and as somebody who has worked tirelessly to, or hopes to have worked tirelessly to show the connections between our fight against racism here in the UK and the fight of many of our brothers and sisters across Europe who in many ways are fighting on a much more difficult terrain. And I want to give you one example, just one quick example of how the situation today mirrors the situation that Claudia faced. There is in the UK Immigration, Asylum and Nationality Act of 2006 a deprivation of citizenship clause, which is very, very similar to the McCarran Act under which Claudia was deported. So you see, deportation for aliens with subversive ideas, as well as British citizens with dual nationality, is part of British law today. Only New Labour, with characteristic subterfuge, substitutes the words unacceptable behaviour for subversive ideas. We have come full circle. Yes, indeed, Claudia was the subversive of yesteryear. So as I was reflecting on what I wanted to say today, it became clear to me that in order to make Claudia's memory a living thing, it was necessary to hold up her life as a mirror. That is the best way to examine Claudia's legacy.